China has confirmed that trade talks between it and the U.S. will go ahead this week. That's despite it looking like negotiations would be derailed following a surprise intervention from President Trump. On Sunday, he tweeted that the U.S. would raise tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese goods from 10% to 25% by the end of this week, and that it would soon be targeting remaining Chinese imports with tariffs as well. It was a surprise because just last week, Mr. Trump hailed the progress being made in the talks between the two countries. Negotiators from both sides they also talked about how positive steps were being made at talks in Beijing. Now, the talks in Washington that were originally expected to start on Wednesday have now been pushed back to Thursday and Friday. But China says its top trade negotiator, Liu He, will lead its delegation, but reports say that the team has been reduced from the original 100-person group. Washington's team will include U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer and Treasury Sec Steven Mnuchin. Renewed tensions triggered a massive sell-off across global financial markets on Monday, with shares in China's major stock indexes seeing their biggest one-day plunge in over 3 years. But with talk seemingly back on track, well, markets, they clawed some of that back, some of those losses back today. The Shanghai Composite gaining just under 0.7%, while the Shenzhen Composite ended the day up over 1.6%. That's a good rise. Now, market jitters prompted world leaders to issue warnings, though, ahead of the IMF Christine Lagarde calling the trade tensions a threat to the world economy, while French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire called on China and the U.S. to avoid escalating tensions even further.
So that's why we are looking very carefully at the current negotiations between China and the U.S. We want those negotiations to stick to the principles of transparency and multilateralism, and I really urge everybody to avoid decisions that would threaten and jeopardize the world growth in the coming months.
Bruno Le Maire has also been talking about how to tackle global debt at the Paris Forum taking place in the French capital. He said transparency was the best way to fight corruption and low-quality infrastructure projects and thus address sustainable debt.
Well, leaders also there have urged transparency, sustainability and responsibility as core principles. Mr. Le Maire described China's Belt and Road Initiative as, and I quote, an important step in the right direction coming from China, and praised President Xi Jinping's ability taking a political step towards greater transparency.
Head of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde, also called on sustainable development goals as an ethical imperative. She also urged that climate change risk is also a financial stability risk.
The high-level forum on debt was attended by financial leaders and executives, including Japan's Finance Minister Taro Aso and British Chancellor of the Exchequer Philip Hammond.